Good morning, everybody. Today's first story requires a little bit of preamble, and thankfully Joe Rogan interviewed these two guys, Peter Boghosen and James Lindsay, and the whole interview is worthwhile. You should listen to it. I listened to it and heard this segment, and then was kind of paying attention to a Paul operation regarding the "It's Okay to Be White" posters, and so CBC picked that up, and we're going to look at that in just a minute. And shocked and disgusted. So I thought that was funny. But the context is here. This will set the tone. So here we go.
Anything to do with social justice.
Right.
And so if you want to make fun of things that don't have anything to do with social justice, that's good. So if we wanted to make fun of men, that's great. If you want to make fun of white people, that's great. If you want to make fun of anything to do with social justice, that's a problem. So
right.
we said that, South Park's a huge problem. The Simpsons is a huge problem. We went into talking about how Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart have the right idea, but then the journal was like, but they're straight white males, so you have to, nuance around that to make it clear that their position as white men, even though they're on the side of social justice, it's not quite good enough,
So they published that.
They published that.
What
was that? What was that one called?
That one was called "When the Joke's on You."
Yeah. And we wrote it so that they would think the joke is on us because we cited our own work in there.
Right.
But the joke was actually on them for publishing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny how racist you can be as long as you're racist against white people.
That's what we saw, is that as long as you are going up the river against privilege, then you can really just get away with some nasty stuff.
Yeah, and you can generalize. Like,
totally.
Gross generalizations.
Absolutely.
Do not treat people as individuals.
Absolutely.
Nope. It's very strange. It's very strange that this is the left. I was a kid in San Francisco in the 1970s. We lived in, there was the hippie times. And I lived there from age 7 to 11.
Okay, I'm going to stop Joe there, and we're just going to fast forward because he talks about, he touches on it a little bit more right here.
Based on things that a person can't control at all. You're just born white. So if you're born white, you're born an oppressor.
Right.
You're born a victimizer. And if you're a white male, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
And you can say that.
White hetero male in particular.
Oh, God. I mean, I've seen so many tweets from people. So many virtue signaling tweets, but one of my favorite ones is this feminist who said, all white straight men are trash unless proven otherwise.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
All of
There's
us.
150 million of us. I mean, give or take, how many gay folks there are?
Yeah, trash.
Yeah, trash.
No problem. Prove
Unless proven otherwise.
And prove you're not, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that? That's like witch
be
trials.
An ally. You have to be an ally.
Oh, no, they asked us to problematize allyship, too. You see, there's power dynamics. Once you say, hey, I'm an ally, now you've made it so that you have like a shield where people can't call you a white supremacist anymore. And you are acting on behalf of other people in... you're speaking for them, so you now have assumed power, you're reproducing the same power dynamics.
Right. That was the Mein Kampf paper.
Yeah, our paper that rewrote Mein Kampf actually was about allyship, and they were like, you didn't problematize allyship.
Yeah, we had two of them that did Mein Kampf. One of them we just more or less replaced Jews with white men. And you
literally took Mein Kampf, the actual words from Mein Kampf, and put it in this paper and replaced the word Jews with the word white men, and they accepted it.
Well, we had two papers that did Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
We had two versions.
So I'm going to leave it there. A couple of things I want to touch on. At the beginning, he started talking about how Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert were on the side of social justice, but they were white men, so that was problematic. You had to nuance around that. And I thought, wow, crazy. And I was listening to this the other day. I've listened to this a couple of times before. I used it in the podcast in this podcast because I needed to find the part that I was looking for, etc. And these guys were really interesting to listen to. And the stuff they published is incredible. And the reason I wanted this to inform this story is because of exactly that. Like what Rogan said at 15 minutes, 20 seconds, that white heterosexual men are trash. And, they all started laughing and the whole deal. And all of a sudden, five word phrase, "It's okay to be white," is trying to be made out to be a hate crime. And they say in the article here it's not a hate crime because the police declined to investigate this non-hate crime. But look at what is happening. These guys were laughing about this, right? Like Joe Rogan is chuckling because, I mean, clearly not all white men are trash, right? Obviously not all white men are trash. And sorry, Joe. But that is the accepted academic position. Why is that okay? Why is it's okay to be white not okay? And I'm saying it's not okay because here's the reporting, and we're going to read the reporting. Quote, "It's okay to be white" signs posted around Halifax. A group of men wearing identical white masks stapled posters with the slogan, quote, "It's okay to be white," on poles throughout downtown Halifax on Wednesday night, sparking concerns of racism. Joey Cockram had just finished his dinner at Barrington Street restaurant when he saw 4 or 5 men in masks and dark clothing. At first he thought they were Halloween revelers, but they're posting stuff along the way as they're walking down the street, he said. When I looked at the poster, it says, "It's okay to be white." He found the message disturbing for its, quote, undertones of racial intolerance. It appeals, he said, to the insecurity of some who feel threatened by people of color. Really? Saying it's okay to be white appeals to people who are insecure? Interesting. Anyway, back to the article. Anyone who pays attention to politics south of the border, I think, will look at that and be equally disturbed, he said. Cockram, who's a member of the Royal Canadian Navy, reported it to police but was told the posters could not be termed hate speech. Wake-up call. Dr. Monroe Anderson, manager of race relations, equity, and inclusion at the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission, believes the posters should serve as a wake-up call. Actually, this use of the word equity is mentioned in this, and not specifically this use, but the use of the word equity instead of equality is specifically pointed out, and the reason why, and maybe we'll watch it in a second, but I find that interesting because I didn't notice that the first read through. But okay, so Dr. Keesman Rogan, manager of race relations and equity inclusion at the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission, believes the poster should serve as a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call to us to wake us up and be aware of what's going on in our society. She said the posters should be investigated by law enforcement. Quote, "Oftentimes they are what I call whitewashed. They're dismissed as not being anything offensive that couldn't cause any type of harm to anyone physically, emotionally, psychologically. That type of attitude comes from not having the life experiences of people of color," she said. "You cannot walk along a street in Halifax without being assaulted by this type of language, and what that means to an individual of color and what that means to every single citizen within Halifax who cares about that. This is actually a case where I question my safety as a woman of color." My jaw literally dropped when I read that, and I was like, really? You're seriously printing this? And they're serious. And again, this whole interview is really good. They talk in depth about people like this, about how dangerous they are, and about how dangerous giving them power, like this woman is the manager of race relations, equity, and inclusion, and you know that's a big title and all sorts of stuff. All of these universities are running to the left, and they're allowing people to co-opt terms like equity instead of inclusion or equality, right? Equity and equality do not mean the same thing. Please, I'm going to find it right now. Hold on. So here it is, the equity versus equality conversation.
Mathematics, and they wanted people to sign an equity, which is another word that they've co-opted. They wanted folks to sign an equity statement and a diversity statement.
And the thing is,
explain what they're trying to, that you have a commitment to diversity.
Yeah, you have a commitment to diversity and you have a commitment to equity. And so equity does not mean treating people equally. It's not like you have a commitment to equality, which is, we should all have a commitment to equality. Equity is defined differently. It's to make up for past injustices or to make up for some deficiency that has occurred somewhere along the line. So
yeah, affirmative action is an equity movement. It's to treat people differently in order to level the playing field.
Yeah. So it's not treating people equally, and that's the key thing.
It sounds like it is, but it's not.
It's a word that they've smuggled in.
Straight out of the literature again.
It's again, all the stuff comes back to the literature.
So if you look at the word
So that's what I'm talking about. It's you smuggle it in, and people think, oh, that means equal. It means the same thing. You can interchange the word equality, equity, right? No, it's dangerous because it's being forced down our throats and being propagated by people who are being put in positions of power to our children, right? Like these are Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission. So put into power for everybody. Human Rights Commission is another thing that should be mothballed. It's ridiculous. Okay, so I'll leave that story. Is it's okay to be white a racist thing? I don't know. If it said it's okay to be Asian, it would be okay. If it's okay to be brown or black, it would be okay. Why is it's okay to be white a hate crime? That's weird. Trudeau government believes in decorum, not like these goons across the aisle, Robin Urbak. And I've been on the fence about her and her reporting generally, but this one's well done. It's tongue in cheek, and she obviously disproves all of her points with links to the Trudeau government being hypocrites. So it's quite a fun little read. It would almost be worth a video just to go through and show the hypocrisy of this government. But Robin does a really good job of highlighting that in her work, and you should go and read this article because it is funny. A rare opinion piece that I agree with from the CBC. Well, I agree with just because it's pointing out the hypocrisy of the Trudeau government. Although I almost stopped because it is a little too overly sweet. Overly sweet, a little bit, yeah. Here's a tweet talking about Rodney Stafford's continuing to press forward, trying to change the laws in Canada to get his daughter's murderer thrown back behind bars. And yeah, it's abhorrent that she's in a minimum security. There was a jury, there was a judge, there was a sentence given, and it's being ignored in favor of a healing lodge, and that's awful. I couldn't imagine what this guy's going through, and I'm glad that he's got a lot of fight in him, and I support him. I hope that the monster that did what she did to Tori goes back to serve the sentence that she deserves. This I found interesting, and it doesn't have a lot to do with Canada, except that, creep, right? Like, the more technologically integrated we get, the more deplatforming matters, right? If Gab can go offline, if they can take down Faith Goldie by just ignoring her in the press, imagine if everything worked that way. So Business Insider is reporting on China's social credit system. Quote, a creepy video shows how China warns its citizens to behave or get punished by its nationwide social credit system. And man, Justin Trudeau has said in the past that he admires China and he likes what they do. So a Trudeau government, maybe 2021, anybody? So it's an interesting read. There's some interesting links. And I just thought I'd put it on your radar. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.